the pillagers. They're gray, they're like villagers, but not. What's more to say about them? Well, we've pondered this very question ourselves. Red, my co-tuber, not the color, suggested that the reason that pillagers are gray is because they're malnourished due to not having food. That they used to be a part of the village and defended it in exchange for food, but now that they're not needed because the iron golem is there, they're struggling due to not knowing how to farm and having to fend for themselves. It was a pretty solid sounding idea, so we started looking into the Minecraft lore. But it turns out, Minecraft doesn't actually have that much lore. But we found one semi-canon book, the Minecraft Mod Bestiary. It was an encyclopedia of knowledge regarding every mob in the game, including the Pillager tribe. We looked into it, and it turns out you can find a little blurb about it on Google when you search it up, but we're not just gonna go off of what Google says. We're gonna have to get the book and see what it says ourselves. So, first, we looked for totally legit methods of obtaining it online. But after it failed, we checked Amazon. For 15 bucks, I can get it the next day, but I'm broke from buying a Meowth vintage yo-yo, and I can't wait a day, so that wasn't gonna work. We needed a place for a wide assortment of quick, accessible books. So we headed to Target to see if we can indulge a little in their Minecraft literature. Turns out, that book is like 5 years old, and it's not in stores anymore. But they did have this. Pretty useless, but it was there nonetheless. Red then popped a brain blast and suggested the library. Duh. We head to our local library and found out they didn't have it. But the next town over did. Well, we've come this far. No backing down now. We created a playlist, gathered our wits, and embarked on a quest with the little gas we had left to find this fabled document. We were traveling blind for most of it due to the only phone with data on it being dead, going purely off Red's poor memory and no GPS. We approached the possible area the library was located in, but before we can get around to looking, Red's car conked out from the heat, and we had to wait for it to cool down. And I had to pee. So a pretty promising situation. After a bit of theorizing while we waited, we clicked on his terribly low battery phone and prayed to God it would have enough power to tell us where the heck we were. Turns out, we were right around the corner and Red was actually a walking compass. Who would have known? We pushed on and arrived at one of the most beautiful libraries I've ever seen.
Nah, that shit was mid.
We enter the building and see a giant archway and a hallway leading down into the children's area and the rest of the library in front of us. I asked if there's any computers to find the book, and the lady was like, "There's one over there, or I can look it up for you if you tell me the name." And I was like, "Nope, I will go look for myself," because I was not about to admit I'm looking up a Minecraft lore book. I find the book on the computer, but it doesn't tell me where it's located. So I have to drag myself over to the lady again and show her the book that I'm looking for. And then she looks it up and then she tells me it's in the children's section. Now, it should go without saying it would be there, but two 55-year-old men walking into the little haven for kids just felt kind of wrong. But the lore was waiting on one of those shelves, so by God it had to be done. She gives us a slip with a random code and tells us to go to the receptionist. And I'm like, all right, cool. We'll just hand it to her. She'll give us the book and we'll just be on our way. But she takes it and says, "And what genre does this pertain to?"
Minecraft.
Oh yes, all our Minecraft books are right here. So, after feeling my first major cringe at myself, I kneel down and look for our prize. And there it was. The Mob Bestiary. The book that can make or break our entire lore. I grab it and we walk around until we find a decently lone spot to read. Keep in mind, the entire time, Red's flip-flops are squeaking in this very, very quiet library. After taking a seat, we begin to deep dive into it, discussing as though we had just discovered an ancient scroll.
Under Vindicator, maybe not. Because it's next to Vex. If I learned anything from that child's book, Vex is something Vindicators have.
It felt silly to do that, but it was actually an interesting book. It had beautiful illustrations, and it was written in the perspective of Steve and his findings on how the world works. So what did we get from it? Well, let's break it down. The exact same thing we got from Google. There was nothing more. We went all that way just to find the exact sentence I saw in Google. And we wasted a lot of gas to get here. My pride. The car broke down. That was a $2,000 fix. In hindsight, I should just used Google. And it turns out after this, we looked it up, and there was actually the full-on page on the wiki. If I just opened it, I would have saw it right there in its beautiful glory. But no, I had to go. The point is, we got it. We got the lore. So here it is. Here's what the lore said.
The main takeaway from the books are small but helpful. It's dotted that the pillagers all suffer from the same thing. The illagers, pillagers, vindicators, and witches' skin has changed to an unnatural gray color. And like we saw on Google, they were indeed kicked out of the village. So that's cool. I'm glad we destroyed my car and suffered third-degree cringe from this. There's more in the books about just filler info that I will use, but let's focus on the pillagers' ugly gray skin and the wording they used. Unnatural, clearly meaning it's not the color they are supposed to be, or at the very least a color Steve has never seen. He could just be racist, I don't know. Could never be me. At the risk of sounding like your mom making an excuse for your ugly appearance.
But my mom says I'm cool.
Next.
The reason their skin is so ugly and gray is because it's due to malnutrition. Think about it, we got pillagers out in the world, cold and alone, and the only thing they could eat is the pigs and the cows, or what have you. And they killed those suckers immediately due to the lack of knowledge on how to breed them for later harvest. Same goes for farming. They are unable to farm just due to the lack of knowledge on how they can't comprehend the science behind it all. Another thing I took into consideration are stuff you find at one of their outposts. The chest food is sad, with only 2 to 5 potatoes, 3 to 5 carrots, and 3 to 5 wheat. I can only assume it's the food they got before they left the village. They had to ration their stuff. There being 3 to 5 wheat, 3 being the least that can be generated in the chest, means they have enough to make bread. They are left with the wheat to eat raw. There are also jail cells at the outpost that contain iron golems and alloys. I have a suspicion the story here is the pillagers have these guys contained as hostages to get the villagers' attention. But the villagers can always just make another one, so their attempts were in vain. Now left with just the iron golem, and the same goes for the alloys. But again, the villagers just don't care. It's one less mouth to feed. And after all hope was lost, they decided enough was enough, and it's time to take what they need by force. Playing into their strengths to give them an advantage, they decided to raid the village. As a nice throwaway bonus, I have a theory that pillagers accidentally made creepers by gathering a bunch of pigs, stuffing them with TNT, and sending them out near a village, capturing the village's attention, seeing pigs that they can take into their village. And with that, the Trojan horse was successful. Many of the pigs being left unused, getting seriously infected by the zombie virus going around, causing the pigs to evolve into creepers after time, being unused and unsupervised. I really wish the horns freaked out the pigs to cause the TNT to ignite them. Would be the nail in the coffin if they did, but it doesn't, so of course it's only a theory. So the villagers kicking out the pillagers for their own gain because they were one less mouth to feed? You could say that the reason they were kicked out was because they lived and worked together. That the pillagers protected the villagers from the evil that lurks in the shadows. They were the tyrants that acted above them. But there's one pillager who has the biggest vendetta against the villagers, calling himself a vindicator. Vindicator meaning they are trying to prove their innocence, making something right. The vindicators truly believe that they were kicked out by these emerald-hungry tyrants, like a businessman making cuts to their expenses, to To save on cost, after making the Iron Golem, they didn't need the pillagers anymore, so they sent them out if they couldn't find a way to contribute to their village. Alright, and that concludes my lecture on why my iron farm is in no way, shape, or form evil or unethical. Thanks for watching. Please let us know what you think in the comments. Alright, that's it. Bye.
If I beat them first, no, it will be you, Dib. No!